Ayomide here, and you already know what time it is. We're back for another episode of the World Without People podcast. More voices, more real stories, and even deeper conversations that challenge the way we see the world. This season, we're peeling back even more layers, exploring life, love, purpose, and the beautiful complexities of the human experience. New guests, fresh perspectives, and of course, the same unfiltered, soul stirring energy you love. So, whether you've been rocking with us since day one or you're just joining the adventure, welcome. Grab your favorite drink, settle in, and let's keep the conversation going one unforgettable story at a time. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The World Without People. My name is Ayomide, and I'm excited to be here. I'm always excited to be here, but I'm truly excited because I have my very first guest that I feel like at least every question I'm asking is going to be a revelation because I don't really know how. Like a lot of people, I have whatever the connection is from, but even if I haven't met you physically, like I feel like I've known you and we've chatted a lot. We've only talked one time, right? Okay, all right. And I have Abimbola Oladapo with me. Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm so excited that you're here. Honestly, thank you so much for making it.
Pleasure is all mine.
Awesome. Okay, so before we even get to the nitty-gritty of all the, amazing things that you're doing, I want to start with, I think, a fun question. Who is Abimbola? What brings you joy or rest outside of your work and advocacy?
Wow. Okay, so let me try to gather my thoughts by saying hello from the record-breaking guest.
I love it.
Yes, so Abimbola is, I'm a lover at heart. I know that's kind of like cliche, but for real, I genuinely think, like literally I ponder, I'm intentional about loving God and people in every little way. I like to say that I like to give a bit of me, everybody I come across, so that could be a hug, that could be anything. So what brings me joy? I like to write, I like to read, I like to share about life, about God, about how love can change the world, about beauty. And I don't mean beauty like mundane, but like beauty, what beauty really means. I like people thinking, I like to get people to the point where they can actually think and reflect, and I just want to be a part of everybody's life that I meet in the littlest of way and just leave a loving impact. I know it sounds all love.
No, but it's actually really amazing. I have a friend who says you're just the most joyful person I've ever met, and for her it's like joy, you're happy all the time. I'm like, well, I know we're not exactly always happy all the time, but I feel like that's part of what I want to live with everybody as well. So and I love it so much because I do feel like I tell people like, what's the basis of the Bible? It boils down to two things: love God, love people, and that's exactly what we're supposed to be doing. So I love it. Okay, but then now you have to go back to the history. So because you talk now about books, and I remember our only conversation, we talked about philosophy, just your love for it, and your love for books and things like that. But that's not what you studied, right?
No.
Okay, so tell me really quickly, high school, university, what you studied, and what you do now.
So high school was high school. I went to two different secondary schools. I was in boarding house, and it was just high school. In university, I studied economics because I really wanted to study international relations. I really liked to not have the course at the time, and I just thought, what's the next neutral course? I thought economics was neutral.
You clearly did not do it in secondary school.
No, I did, and funny enough, it was actually had a C. I wasn't even so good. So when I think about it, I don't know what was possessing me to actually study economics.
Right.
I just thought it was maybe just something that was very flexible, that I could work anywhere, I could do anything. Because I really didn't have that focused career path, honestly. So I went for economics. And I got into school. I honestly did not really like my course because I just got detached in many ways. I felt like Adam Smith, that's like, how is that? Like, I just felt like we're studying theory, but I couldn't connect it to the realities. There was only one course I liked, and it was a course about Nigerian economy. Because that brought me realities. And I picked some things from my course, like diminishing returns. So those things, I still use them, like the opportunity cost, especially. I'm always weighing things. But yeah, that's what I did in uni. Right now, I run a non-profit organization. It's called Beyond the Curved Spine. It's a scoliosis advocacy and support organization. So yeah, somehow I've gone from economics to like health. People think I'm like a doctor, but I am a doctor by association.
I love it.
But yeah, that's what I do. And yeah, and I'm also a writer. I write and I do some strategy consulting. You know, we all have side hustles.
Yes, it's very necessary part of life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. And Beyond a Curved Spine is a personal journey for you as well, right?
Yes.
To tell us, because I would think that again, because it's a personal journey for you, maybe you would have gone into health in Unilag or something. So how did you start with the organization, and why? I don't want to say wasn't it sooner, because it is what it is, but I have to assume that you decided that this was something you wanted to now then be a face of and then champion that was beyond your education.
Yeah. Actually, it's interesting because my doctor at the time wanted me to study medicine, but I just thought, I don't like blood, I don't want to see anything blood. But now, when I know sometimes I'm in theater, I actually observe surgeries. So I'm like, really? I can actually observe somebody's back being, and I could not really, so I didn't do medicine. I didn't study medicine because I didn't want to. I just felt like I couldn't deal with blood and all of those things. But so Beyond the Curved Spine was not, I wouldn't say it was it wasn't like I planned it. I just realized I was like, this is 2004, and then I later on.
And not to age you, but what were you in your teens, or
I was about 11.
Okay.
Yes. So and then like 3 years after, I diagnosed somebody else in secondary school because I already had it. So I could see the symptoms in her very early. So I was able to get help in time because this with her parents. And then fast forward to many years later, I would see people on the streets, people, at the mall. I remember going to KFC one day and then the person attended to me, she had scoliosis. And I would see children, and I would go to some people and tell them, some people would listen, some people would like, please don't speak to me. So I just felt like we needed to, do something, just start talking about scoliosis so that people are aware, so they can, they can detect it early and no child has to go through all of the issues that I went through. And so I reached out to my friend that I knew and we just sat over a cup of parfait at So Fresh one Saturday afternoon in Okwebi. And that's how it was born. I just started to raise awareness, really. Yes, and from there, somehow, it just blew up. We started to raise awareness. We partnered with Tropper. We did our first awareness run. It was really great. From there, we got to do a documentary on TVC, and then from there, we go on radio, and from there, we started going to schools. And then now we have like a community of people that have scoliosis. Now people have done surgeries, we supported them. We now offer pro bono consultation. It's so great because I didn't have those experiences. For me, it was lonely. There was no information, but now there is an entire community. You have free consultation. It's great. So it's not like I want to be the face of it, but I'm just happy to have that. For me, it's like an oak tree, right? People can just take rest because I didn't have that rest in my time. So that's what it is.
That's really amazing, honestly. I really, that's amazing. And again, right, sometimes I wonder how God considers these things. Like, it's the thing that you go through that you now then become a resource to. But I feel like if you didn't go through that, right, if you're not going through that, you won't be able to have provided that help to people, right? And I think that's really an important part of what we do. Okay, so again, I have questions, but let me think through based off of what you said. So what is the biggest misconception about scoliosis?
Yeah, so the biggest misconception is definitely that it is like a spiritual problem.
No way. No, people do not think it is spiritual problem.
Not in Nigeria. In the world, one of the biggest things that we face in my work is stigma. Like, you even have parents who think their kids are possessed. And people actually would go to a so-called spiritual healer first because they need to cast out that demon. And you have people who get caught with blade, because they say, oh, there's a demon that is there and it's bad blood, so when they cut the back, it will drain, and then they cut the back and then nothing happens. So I think the biggest thing is people thinking it's a curse from the gods or it's a spiritual problem, and so they don't take it as a medical condition. I get it, it's idiopathic, right? Most cases are idiopathic. It doesn't have a known cause, most cases.
Right.
Funny enough, 80% of scoliosis cases are idiopathic. There's no reason why. It just happens.
I mean, most diseases are idiopathic if we think about it.
True, like cancer actually, to be honest.
So we still do not know what the cause of cancer is.
True. That's actually very true.
Have different genes that we feel like, and research obviously is, so in a case like scoliosis where it hasn't been properly researched, especially if it's not affecting a majority of the population, then obviously we don't know what the cause is. But like, we're only making interpretations on any disease anyways, right?
Yeah, I think because it's also a physical thing.
Right.
Yeah, so I think because like it's a physical deformity, and so it's just like I don't know if people think it's like hunchback. Yeah, sometimes when you have scoliosis you just come with kyphosis because there's a hump on the back, but it's not a hunchback. People think it's like a hunchback, and maybe it's like, I've heard people say things like, and I'm going to say it in Yoruba because that's the only way it can hit. They say, oh, Eroaye. What's it do? Eroaye, yes. So like some spiritual father and mother, witchcraft.
So sorry, I don't mean to be laughing. This is a very serious topic. I'm not even trying to be silly. I trust me, in anything, right? Mental health, cancer, whatever, there's stigma associated with pretty much any disease, and just much of life. Just, there's some kind of superiority complex that happens with most of life. I just cannot believe that somebody thinks a physical deformity is connected to spirituality in any way, shape, or form. I can understand, like I've heard now that cancer is associated with lack of forgiveness. And honestly, mentally, I kind of understand the idea that if you are holding on to things, right, it affects us internally, right? I think the Bible kind of even explains it in a way, right? Don't hold on to business, don't hold on to rage, those kind of things. I cannot understand a physical deformity. I just can't. Wow. Awareness is really important. And it always brings up this thing then about non-profits, because non-profits are a dime a dozen. They seem to be, available for anything and everything. And sometimes you wonder what else needs to be shared, and what else can't be just Googled, right? But it sounds to me like there is grassroots movements in educating and teaching people about things that surgery cannot never help.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that we've come a long way, but we have a long way to go, and we're in such a niche area. People will say, "Oh, it's not malaria, it's not killing thousands of people, it's not HIV," but then it's affecting one child, it's affecting 10 children, it's affecting 100. In our community, for instance, we have over 200 people, and then we've reached out to honestly, we have data to thousands of people who had scoliosis, and so it does affect. One person is enough, one person is important, right? So people are not everybody. If right now, even people who are educated, in quotes, people who are in the urban areas do not even read. You will send somebody an article and say, "Oh, read about it," and they still come and ask you the same. I can just send you that article. Can you please read? How much more people in the rural areas? So yes, there is that gap, and personally, I do believe in homegrown solutions. I think it's very important to find out how to reach the grassroots in their own language. One of the things we've done is, taking our materials and translating it to Yoruba, Igbo, and Hausa. So people at least can read. If you can't read in English, you can read in Igbo. Yes, and we're looking at exploring more options. But scoliosis awareness as a non-profit is actually tough because it's so niche. It's hard. It's not everybody's interested, and everybody understands what you're doing, and people feel like it's not something that affects a lot of people, and it's actually hard to treat. Surgery is in millions, so with 1 million, I'll probably 100,000 mosquito nets. But we're pushing, and for me, 1% is important. For me, my own experience, I know what I went through. I don't want that child to go. Life is tough. You don't need to go through life with a cut spine. So let's get it on time. Let's know early, and let's just get help early. Because when I had it, my sister actually knew early. She would say, "Oh, you're bending. You're doing guy. You have a bad. Why are you copying your school?" I cannot copy anybody. I'm not doing guy because I was in boarding house. But she didn't know it was scoliosis. And then I came back, and she's like, "What happened to your back? What happened?" But if she had known, she would have said, "Oh, this maybe scoliosis. Let's get it checked in time.
Yeah.
So by the time by the time everybody got to find out what it was already. I already had like my back was already physically curved. Yeah, but so if people get to know in time, those little symptoms now when they see it, they can say, oh, do you have scoliosis? Can I check it out?
Okay. And so what's the earliest age of symptoms?
From age 10.
Okay.
Yes. So for some reason it affects girls 8 times more than boys. Yes, and it mostly starts at the adolescent age. I mean from 10 really. From 10 till about 16. Yes, and so there are symptoms like uneven shoulders, uneven hips, and maybe for a girl, one breast obviously bigger than the other. When a child bends forward, maybe they have like a protruding shoulder blade. Yeah, so those things. So if a child is walking and they still maybe bent, it could be scoliosis. Yeah, so those are like little symptoms and very easy to test for scoliosis. Really, you just get a child to bend over and you can look if there's a little hump or there is one protruding shoulder blade or uneven hips. So those are like the early symptoms.
Okay, all right. So, and because we've done research, you've talked about feeling like you were hiding your scoliosis for years. What changed that and what pushed you to finally speak out?
Okay. So yeah, when I was in secondary school, to be honest, I had a back brace.
Okay.
Yeah, I used to wear a back brace and it was really horrible. It was made of like those jerry can, I don't even know those blue drums things. That was my brace material because that was the best I had in Nigeria at the time. So it was really hideous. But I didn't really care because people knew that, oh, she was normal before, what's happening to her, she's wearing a brace. So it was fine. But then I got into uni and I didn't have school uniform anymore.
Wow. Actually, wow. It's funny because I always think about why there's a need for school uniform. And it makes sense, right? It keeps everybody on an equal ground, right? No matter what you may be going through. But now you have to style yourself. Wow, that is okay. That is a new challenge.
Yes, it was, and I just realized that and then when I was going to school, I was very I had locks. I had cut my hair. I'm just because I liked decorating at the time. Decorating had these nice locks, so I cut my hair. So I was already obvious because
decorating.
Yeah. So I was already obvious because I had because then now you look at your hair when it's long, but then you have to start really small. So, and then I was like, okay, I'm different now. I knew I was different. So I would always have scarves on or try to wear a jacket. And people would be like, are you Muslim? You don't cover your hair, you cover your body.
Yeah.
And then it was just, so I was dealing with that. And then, in second to them, we had a strike, 100 level, we had a university strike. And I remember in that period, my neighbor had told me, there was a church beside my house, and that church, they were a youth church, and I used to be like, what's wrong with you? I didn't like them, I just had that nonsense for no reason beef, because on Sunday morning, I'll go and buy eggs when they're in church. And they used to look at me like they're judging me, I knew. So I used to be like, these people, go at it. So my neighbor came and said, oh, this church, I started going there, let's go. I was like, I'm not going home. But then I followed him to church, and I got there and someone comes to me and said, oh, you look so pretty, I like your hair. I'm the head of drama, what you play drama? I'm like, okay. Anyway, so she just pulled me in, and honestly, that was just it for me because having that church community, and I actually took it seriously. And I started to see myself in a different way. I started to see myself like, okay, really, I am me. I have my identity, and honestly, it sounds very cliche, but it's the truth. Faith, it was just me, knowing Jesus and seeing myself in that mirror. I stopped. Wait a minute. Please, though. When I came back from strike, I was just on fire, honestly. I would wear anything, I would do anything. And it's amazing because life responded, I had toasters. First semester, I had toasters. Oh shit, I love it. Yes. First semester, I had only maybe 2 toasters. Now I have 15. So everything changed. I was a happier person. I was myself. I had more friends. I had, even my GP rose. My GP rose. I was in a very, high CGPA, second semester. And that was really what changed. So I just started to see myself beyond my back. And I realized that I actually set the pace for how people treat me. Because when I didn't care, nobody seemed to care. And I remember somebody, this guy, shout out to you, I won't say your name. But he was asking me all the time. And he was walking with my hostel and I said, "Oh, Abimbola, so why do you have like a slightly higher hip than the other?" And I was like, and he was like, "I know you have scoliosis." And I was like, I was like, "Oh, my cousin has it. You don't need to care. You're beautiful." I'm like, preach, preach, bro. So yes, I know people like yes, and he's amazing. Actually, I can't remember. But I know like that. I took that and I'm like, so. And I realized that it's all about me.
Right.
Yeah, it's all about it's here. What is here is what comes out. And really, that changed my life completely. And so when I went to talking about it, it was not important for me. I did not care about anything. All my heart was fixed on was somebody else has to know about this. Somebody else has to detect early. Somebody has to get help so they don't have to go through life dealing with that. So that was the game changer for me.
I love it so much. Okay, all right. I mean, I think you kind of answered, but maybe if not for you personally, maybe you can talk about it from other people's perspective that you've heard. Beyond the physical challenges, how has having scoliosis subtly influenced the way you approach everyday tasks or decisions, especially things that someone without scoliosis might take for granted? I think an example was me thinking about, are you comfortable in having a sitting and things like that? So do you have to make choices, let's say about, you're flying, do you have to be in first class because you have to be able to lie down, those kind of things. I love it.
Yes, so having scoliosis does. I mean, there's so much mystery around it. When I got diagnosed, I was told that, when you're 18, it's not going to get any worse. It's just going to be the way it was and you'll be fine. So I just thought, okay, it's fine. I don't want to be a surgery because surgery level for aesthetics and I didn't really care, honestly. But then I realized that in my 20s, my late 20s, my back, my curve worsened. And I'm like, okay, so what's happening? Why is my curve worsening? And so I have new information now that actually gets worse every year. It's just that the curvature it was when you achieve skeletal maturity is what determines how bad it gets. So if it's less than 40 degrees, it may not get as bad, but if it's 50 and higher, it's going to get worse. So mine was like in the 50s region. So when I started that curve, I realized the way heels bad, nobody was supposed to. I didn't know. But I used to really live my life like I didn't care. I would lift heavy stuff. I would do whatever. But then when I had a worsened curve, I realized that I can't do everything. For instance, I'm not going to wear heels like stiletto heels anymore. I would wear platforms. I would always need a chair, like a pillow sometimes for my back. I wouldn't sit for too long because it would cause me back pain. I wouldn't stand for too long because it would cause me back pain. So there are certain things I don't lift heavy things anymore, and I have to be careful how I lift. I have to squat. I don't bend over. So those basic. it doesn't really affect big things like maybe having children or whatever. It does not in the long run. But basic things, I think that someone has to be more careful because definitely your spine is not as strong as a normal person's spine because even when it's fused. Even when you go through surgery, because now it's still not as strong as the spine is strong anyway, but it's still not as strong as a normal person's spine. So just the day-to-day basic things, yes, does affect those.
Okay. And according to you found strength in being intentionally stronger than scoliosis. What are some of the small everyday practices that contribute to this feeling of inner strength?
So I think that it really is a journey. I have my days. People don't believe I have my days because I'm literally, but I have it. Like I just would like to wear a tank top today and go out. And I don't want anybody to look at me. I don't want to educate anybody. I just want to go my way, and I can't. And I'm like, oh God. So I do have my down days, but again, I think that it's very important to be grounded from the inside because I think I don't see scoliosis as an extra. It's just one of those things in life. It's one of those things. Everybody has obstacles they face. And so for me, it's just here. When I'm disturbed here, everything else is disturbed. So it's not it's not an outside in thing, but it's more like in out. So I think it's very important to actually nourish yourself. But water yourself. Nourish yourself. So like food. I was thinking of going more. Sorry.
Of all the nourishments, the golden one is this.
No, because I think they always say nourish. They have this tagline about nourish something, nourishment for your body or something. It's actually fake because the golden one is not very. No,
it's okay.
But yes, when I get nourishment, that tagline has stuck here. So when I get nourishment, I think of golden one.
It's so funny, but I love it. much now,
Yeah.
but it was one of those things where everybody's coming, bring me golden one, bring me milk, like it was just my happy to go food that wasn't exactly, because I don't like regular cereal, like, so golden one was the only cereal, but it wasn't exactly oatmeal, it's sweeter than oatmeal, so anyways, it's just so funny that you said golden one.
But the power of branding, because that really stuck.
Yeah.
Nourishment, golden one. But yeah, so it's really important to water your soul. For me, I reflect. I'm somebody who actually does spend enough time, in solitude, not aloneness, but actual, me and God and my thoughts and who am I and where am I inside. And so whenever I'm feeling down, it's a symptom of something. So that's just what keeps me going. And also, I think purpose is so cliche. I don't like using that word.
I don't think these things are as cliche as people say. Or better still, let me say it this way. What is wrong with things being cliche? Like, they're true.
Actually, what is wrong with it? I am not saying cliche is cancelled from my dictionary from today. Because I'm always like, no. I think the only problem with things being cliche is people actually take out from the word. So we use it too much, but we don't have meaning. And that's actually what affects. Because I'm always like, whenever talks about love, what does love mean? Or you talk about purpose, what does it mean? So for me, when you use it, like, do you have meaning for it?
Right.
So I think that's just when something is cliche.
Fair enough. Now, right? It's more in the usage of it, but in the actual literal definition of love, right? We know that love is sacrificial. Love is, we can go on and on and on, right? What is purpose? It's having a reason to wake up. I mean, it's that simple, right? So I think that again, maybe people. There's a song, love someone again, use your name in vain. Whatever, I know the song. The idea being that, we use the name in vain, we use things in vain, doesn't take away its
weight.
Thank you, its weight, right? So I don't think things are that cliche.
Yeah.
I typically say random. Like when I want to say something and I know it's something that maybe people use a lot, I'll say random. But cliche, no. That's what the word is for anyways. Going on and on. But yes, you were saying.
Yeah, thank you for that. But yeah, I think that purpose does also, is actually true. That quote, what you said about even the reason why one wakes up, it just registered in my head some months ago. And I'm like, that's so true. So but having, there are days when I'm just like, what's all this? And then somebody just texts you and says, oh, thank you so much for being on the cup spine, and I'm like, really? So I think just finding that courage to just look beyond yourself and say, okay, where can I contribute to my world today? What can I contribute to somebody else today? That gives me a lot of strength. I don't feed up other people's value. It's not like I need you to make me, but I'm happy. Like I'm so blessed that you're blessed because of this little dot that I put here, and that also gives me strength. Yes. So those are the things that help, and I think that anyone going through scoliosis. Don't just be like in your house, just just find community and find a way. Just find community. You find yourself there. Just some people that volunteer for us, for instance, it's the same thing. Just being able to have somebody call you and just rant. It's just a blessing. You don't even have to say anything. It's just the fact that you are available for that person. So I'd say for me, solitude really does help me. Thinking through things. Identifying what's going on in my life and why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling does help. Purpose also does help. These are two things that. Yes.
So as far as like in meeting people now, like you said, in going through that journey, what's been one success story for you so far? Hey everyone. If you're enjoying the podcast, please don't forget to hit the subscribe, like, or share button. Whether you're on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, or YouTube, your support helps us to reach more people. Stay tuned for more amazing conversations, and thank you for being a part of our community.
Okay, so that's an interesting question. For me, the success story of this is the courage to actually start beyond the cup spine, to actually get up and say, you know what, I'm going to do something about this condition, start to talk about it and create a home for other people. the realities and the fruit of that, because of that now awareness is better than it was. Even though we have a long way to go, we've come a long way. Because of that, people have a home, we have a support group where someone could just come on a good day and say, oh, today I'm feeling down and I'm just feeling ugly and I'm just feeling this, and people are just, they're going to have a barrage of like encouragement, and for me that means the world, because I didn't have that. My journey was lonely. And also the fact that we've been able to support people, we do a lot of free consultations. We've done over 100 free consultations. And so you don't have to pay. If you can't afford it, it's fine. Yeah. Just come, let's see you, let's see how we can take you from there. And in fact, when I had scoliosis and when we started this, there was no surgery in Nigeria. Yes, but now we have scoliosis surgery in Nigeria. Even though we have one surgeon alone right now, for now, I hope we have more surgeons. But at least we've been able to support like over 30 people through surgery. A lot of them are discounted prices. And it's just really, for me, it's just the fact that you could just start this little thing, this seed is now growing. So for me, the success is in the starting. It's just in that courage to actually start that. Yeah, that's really.
I really think that's amazing, because I was going to ask, or the next question was, starting beyond the curved spine is clearly a significant undertaking, or was a significant undertaking, and how has dedicating yourself to this cause influenced your own personal growth and your perspective on your own journey in your daily life. So kind of like related to that, I want you to answer first before I tag on anything.
Okay.
Or let me tag this on. Sorry, guys. I ask long questions. If you've listened to this podcast, I ask long. Because there is a feeling of, God, why did I have to go through that for me to now be a help to others? I'm definitely, on everything in life, I'm like, what is this? Like, why did this have to be me? I don't want to be the example. And I'm very clear about moving forward. I don't want to be any more example. I've been example enough. It's okay. So, for you, what does that feel like?
Yeah, thank you for that perspective. And honestly, I don't even see it as I had to go through this to help other people. I don't usually, maybe I block that perspective in life.
Fair enough.
I don't really think, I'm going through this pain now to help other people. When I go through things, I think I don't even understand it, like come out of it. And somehow, if it's for use, it's going to be used in my journey. That's what I believe. So I'm not someone who wants to say, I have this pain, I'm going to capitalize on that pain.
Fair enough.
People have said to me, you're not even doing enough. You could have started a podcast, a vlog around scoliosis and just made money and become an influencer and be famous. And I said, I'm not going to be scoliosis influencer. I'd rather be a healing influencer. Like what is that? And no shade. Like it's fine if that's your journey, but I don't believe. I always like to connect with here, like what is the truth for me? Yeah. And the truth for me is not to be the poster girl for, I have a curved spine, this is that. I am so grateful to be a vessel, to have this home. Yeah. And my hope, what I look forward to is passing that baton on. And I'm very careful to put myself out of the picture because it's not about Abimbola. I want every Scolio warrior to own their own voice. It's about you. It's not about me. It's not a Abimbola movement. It's our movement. Yeah. So I don't see it as my home. Like, it's my home, but I don't see it as like my possession. That's the right word. I don't know. It's an assignment. I'm grateful to have done that. It has come with much sacrifice, especially my career. It's my career, but you know what I mean? Like, I had all these plans, I had a life. And, I have tried, full-time jobs with my non-profit, and I have seen it suffer, and I've had to just say, you know what, I'm going to dedicate XYZ time to building this because it's just not working. And, I've seen like people, my peers and whatever, grow up ladders and stuff, but I'm not. Frankly, I've become so, I'm so grateful to God for my perspectives because it's like, this is well done for me and that's okay. I'm happy to create this time. I'm going to go on to the next thing and that is I'm also going to excel. Wherever, to be honest, I see myself, I don't see myself being beyond the curved spine ED forever. Not even the next 1 year, maybe or 10 years. I don't, I see because there are other dreams that I hold dear, there are other things I want to pursue, and I'm going to go for it. But what's important to me is building the foundation that other people can take on. Absolutely. And other leaders and other people can, and have their own vision and continue to expand it. That's how I see it. It has come at a lot of sacrifice, but I'm grateful for it. I have grown. The journeys I've had now, I have stories that I could only have experienced, I could only have experienced, and I'm looking forward to all that. It will always be my baby, always. Yes, yeah, and that's that.
Yeah, but I
hope
think it's like
answered
people who
that.
start startups, right? It's like you have a startup. Let's just use Jack Dorsey, who started Twitter, right? He started Twitter,
Yeah.
right? You know, I can imagine that again at some point you're like, okay, I can leave this and move on
Yes,
to
yes.
something else. I do think you're right. Non-profit tends to seem like you can never leave it. Like you are, as long
Yes,
as you're the one who
yes,
started it and you
yes.
had the
It
journey,
feels
you
like
can
it's going
never
to
leave it.
sink. It's your story, and I have gone through those motions. You know,
Yeah.
now I'm not. You know, I'm like, hey God, if I leave, but
Yeah.
it will be fine. In
Yeah.
fact, I mean, for me, I'll be so grateful to have somebody come after me and
Yeah.
do better.
Yeah.
That would be such a beautiful legacy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I don't attach. I realize that in life I steward. You know, I don't own those things,
Yes,
so it's fine.
I like that word.
I love to create room for people because somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a staff, and I'm really proud of her. You know, because she came in and now she just brings up her own ideas. I love it. She dreams for beyond the cosp, and I'm like, you're so amazing. You know, and it makes me so happy. So it's not Abimbola's dream. It's Coolie Warriors' dream.
Yeah.
It's ours, and yeah, that's how I see that.
I really love that. I actually think that's a really good perspective. I mean, you can always be a board member, you know, a president, but like you're not running the day-to-day operations. And I think that is to the point a greater legacy than anything else. Okay, all right. You've talked a lot now about faith, for example, and I don't know what your faith journey now is, you know, at this age versus when you were younger. So if you could tell your 13-year-old self one thing today, what would it be and why? And I think from a faith perspective is how I want you to kind of think through that.
Oh. Okay, if I could tell at 13, I don't think I really knew Jesus. But if I would assume if I was 13 and I knew Jesus, what I would tell myself is, you know, really find a discipler. Because when I, you know, started to walk the Christian journey, you know, I'm so thankful for my foundations, you know. However, if there was something I wish I had, but it was discipling, because, you know, I believed it, I ran with it, I was a worker for God and all of that. And I went through seasons in my life where, you know, I had to come to the point of, Jesus, who are you?
Yeah.
You know, let's start to build this foundation. So if I was 13, I would look for a discipler. I would not, you know, I would just learn the disciplines of reading my Bible and praying and knowing Jesus. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's fair. All right. Let me see if I can say it another way. How would you tell your 13-year-old self on this journey of scoliosis?
Huge.
Or what would you tell yourself? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What would I tell my 13-year-old self? Okay. I would say, take care of yourself. Because I think when I was younger, I was very lackadaisical about my health. Like, okay, scoliosis is so, you know, but I would say, you have scoliosis, right? Like, what is it for you? And do your exercises and eat right and, you know, understand beauty. I mean, that sounds so deep for a 13-year-old. But yeah, like, just explore what beauty is.
What is beauty to you?
Wow, that's a question. So I think beauty is in thoughts, is in identity. I think beauty is also aesthetics. I'm not going to say, oh, things are not fine. Some things are fine. Yeah. But I think it's not. It doesn't just start in the aesthetics, you know, but it's rooted in something. I think beauty is thoughts. Like, there are days I'm in my mind, I'm like, wow, you know, I just appreciate that. Like, I think beauty is like the way it's in perspectives, and it's really being present. It's not about flying, or it's just about being here and being aware, and even all of those ugly parts, and just saying, okay, you know what, I don't like the way I look right now, but why? You know, just exploring those. I think there is beauty in being present and exploring, you know, presence, you know, not thinking, oh, 5 years time, what's going to happen? No, but here and now, and just finding God in all of that, and just seeing what God is doing. For me, that is how I define beauty.
That's amazing. You are beautiful, by the way. In case you haven't been told lately, I just want to tell you that. Okay, all right. One of the, you know, again, like I said, we didn't have the opportunity to talk much, you know, before this or whatever. We've had one major conversation. And I think one of the things we were talking about with that conversation was around this idea of, are we allowed to be proud of ourselves? I remember, if you remember. And I wanted to still bring that up because I know we were going back and forth about it. So again, remind me, what was your perspective of, are we allowed to be proud of ourselves?
Yeah, so yeah, I remember the question was, because you're feeling like, am I proud?
Yeah.
And I think my perspective is that yes, in a healthy way, because like personally, I don't really know what I do. Like when I say I don't know, like the impact, I'm somebody who just does things. I don't really care. I don't care for titles. I don't care for anything, But I was doing some applications this last year, and they were asking like facts and impact figures and things. So I had to pull out my impact report and all of the things that we've done, because this application was asking for facts and data, and I'm like, I'm like, oh my God, wow, this much work has gone down, and I had to repent because I realized that I was grateful, but I was grateful, like, oh God, I'm thankful, but I wasn't thoughtfully grateful, because I didn't even realize how much work, beyond the husband had done and I had contributed, and so I began to think, and I think that it's a good thing to actually acknowledge God's goodness, and it's important, not just a good thing, because that's how when the psalmist writes, you can say that he maps his life. He actually maps out stuff that God does, and so I believe God loves that, knowing that God is good to me, and knowing how, not just a cliche, oh, God is good, or I worship you, God, but I actually worship you, you're good to me, and that is thoughtfulness. That is actually acknowledging goodness. And people say, oh, are we humble? I think I've had a lot of false humility challenges, because I'm like, I don't want to talk about who I am. I still do not, but I believe that if we walk with God, we know when we're proud. There are things you say, and you know that you're just trying to show off there. But I believe God wants us to acknowledge every good thing in us. It doesn't have to be you shouting it out loud. It could mean different things for different people. But humility is a fruit of intimacy. I don't think we try to be humble. I think when we work with God, it takes off all of those pride. You just begin to that it's a life work. And I believe that it can go side by side, acknowledging what God is doing and being grateful for that, and without pride.
I love that. Okay, let me ask you, what are you currently reading?
It's a book. It's a book called All About Love, New Vision by Bell Hooks.
Bell Hooks. Okay. What is the book about?
Well, Bell. Yeah, Bell Hooks. Okay. So it's really okay. Now back to philosophy. So frankly, I believe that love can change the world, and I don't mean love in the wicked sense people say it, but in terms of brotherly love, just like the Bible says, love your creator, love the creation, and not in a weak way, of course, like I said, because everybody thinks love is like, oh, condoning all sort of crap. No. So the book is really also about how love is transforming, and one thing that she says is how that a lot of us just genuine love takes commitment and time, and a lot of us just want love passively. I want to just want to feel all the good feelings, but that is even so cheap, because love is transforming. It doesn't just come in and leave you. It literally transforms, and so the book is really about different facets of. I'm not done, but from childhood to where you are to the future, and how love is the security and the peace that the world is seeking. But I think it's such a very beautiful book that everybody should read. One of the biggest things again is that love is not the root of love is not emotions, but it's spirit, because it's spiritual. So your love doesn't start because you feel, but and love also has to have, like, it's not open-ended, like, oh, I just love for no reason. But where there is love, there has to be growth. And it has to be evolution. I mean, spiritual growth, basically, for yourself or for the other. And spiritual growth is not necessarily, oh, I'm praying 24 hours. I mean, all these things have definitions in our head, unfortunately. But the hallmark of spirituality is fruitfulness. So spiritual growth is fruits, the fruit of the spirit. And so that is where love leads to. And so that's what the book explores, these different themes. And she's Lace. I really appreciate her for writing that book.
That's awesome. And so what has been, and this sounds weird because, I mean, obviously you have parents, you have siblings, you have friends, but when you think about your most defining relationship, right? Not necessarily because it's at scale, right? Because at the end of the day, it's easy to say your parents are your most defining relationship. But if you can think about it without the scale, I don't know if that makes sense. What would you say has been your most defining relationship, other than Jesus? Other than Jesus.
Because I was going to say Jesus.
In relation to human, what is your most defining relationship? What would you say?
That is a very, very... That's a great question, actually. So I think that I have been defined by relationships in different scale.
one of it is my parents and my family. Because my parents, they separated, especially when I was 6. And there were a lot of things that came out of that. And it sort of defined me in a way. I had to deal with many things, and at the same time, people don't believe I'm from a home that is like separated, because they're like, you just always hug everybody, you're so loving this, that. But I think those things also just, pushed me to like God and understanding things and just, being there and being changed. And that was like, ashes, and that was defining ashes that became beauty for me. Also friends, I had a friend, that really, he was such a selfless person. And we were friends for a while, we were very close, but, I mean, it was that was my ideology, that we could be selfless, but everybody used to feel like, oh, it's not possible. I saw a person live that life, and that was very defining for me. Right now, I think for me, maybe also my discipler, I have somebody who I'll call a discipler, and like one or two, people who well, like my sisters, but they're like models for me in spirituality and fruitfulness, and I really pick from them a lot. I learn they're teachings, but not just teachings, but by just seeing their life. I love the fruit of their life, and I'm like, it's so possible to be peaceful. It's just like you, I had said to you that I didn't even know you, but you just had a peaceful aura, and I just love it. I can pick it, and I'm like, it's so possible to just be peaceful and to be beautiful. Just the way you are, and without not by how the world says it, right? But just being a creation of beauty, and I appreciate it. And so those things, I don't know if I answered the question.
It did, definitely did. No, thank you so much. Okay, so this is the fun part. Morning person or night owl?
Night, but I am trying so hard to be a morning person.
Me too. What are you doing? Because I've been working on it and it's not working. I set my alarm up for 6:45 today. I heard it, but I was like 8 o'clock before I finally stood up. I just wanted to know, like, it's such a struggle.
It's a very big struggle. There was like 2 weeks when I actually hacked it and I did well. I was like by 9, I'm out checking my phone. I would sleep, and it worked for me. But then I slipped back into my nightlife. But I'm really trying, because I think it's just being a morning person has so many benefits. I think I have longer days when I'm a morning person to do more. But then when I'm in, when I sleep at 5. I can wake up at, it's just somehow. So I'm trying so hard to be a morning person.
It's definitely harder when you're doing time difference, for sure, because like you're still working till midnight, so there's no way I'm sleeping at 9. Okay, all right. Books or movies? I think I already know the answer to that.
Yeah. There's only one movie I watch like 100 times.
What movie is that?
Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. I watched them. I was watching like 20 times this year. I watched them over and over.
Have you read the books?
Funny enough, no.
No, okay. All right,
but then I have the extended versions.
Yeah.
But I've read like pieces of the books too. When I watch something, I go and Google why the Gandalf did that. And then the book comes out and I read.
That is so funny.
That is the only movie that I know that.
Okay, all right.
Yes, definitely books.
Tea or coffee?
Tea.
We're no longer friends. No longer. Sorry.
Tea is good. Herbal tea.
Well,
be converted.
I think I need to do more herbal tea. That's for sure. Yeah. But I just feel like tea, just as I drink coffee, just as a drink, right? Like I don't. So you know how like people do juice or soda. Coffee is my juice or soda. So yeah, tea, because I know it's medicine. Yeah. I will do it because I have to do what I have to do. Yeah. But yeah, and we need to talk about that. But otherwise, yeah, no. Okay, introvert or extrovert?
So I used to be extroverted, but now when I do those tests, it says I'm introverted. Okay. So I think I'm actually introverted. Okay. In a funny way, I don't know.
Why do you think? Because you don't appear. So again, like at least now seeing you in person, right? Maybe on like our call, I'd have said, oh, maybe an introvert, but in person, you don't appear to be an extrovert.
So which is that I'm actually, when I do those tests now, and I'm like, how? Yeah. But actually, I love, and really, to be honest, sometimes I think it's a problem, but I really love to just sit and think and imagine, and it can be sometimes like extreme, but I love solitude. I love myself, and I just love it. There's so much, and it's like I don't have enough time to really think. So I think that's the part.
But when you're outside.
So I don't, I have like my people, the people I love, and I myself, the people I'm just very quiet and I'm just speaking. So it depends on where
you are.
Yes. So
Okay.
I'm
Fair enough.
selectively introverted.
Sweet or salty?
Depends.
It depends.
Depends. I like
Fair
sweet,
enough.
but because of my health now, I'm
Yeah.
very, not so
Fair
much
enough.
fine. Yeah.
Fair enough. Music or podcast?
Music.
Okay. And fiction or non-fiction?
It depends. I used to do a lot of non-fiction.
Okay.
Yeah, actually non-fiction.
Okay. Fair enough. So, okay, and I mean, you did say philosophy and things like that. Okay, all right, fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, I've been going back and forth, and I've spoken about this a couple times about, I mean, I'm doing it more intentionally now, but I've spoken a couple times about this need to, read more nonfiction. But I find that fiction gives you an opportunity to have a diverse world.
Yeah, absolutely.
That nonfiction does not
doesn't.
have, and I don't know why people then don't lean to, because it's like knowing a lot about what I know about America now, for example, like a lot of it was actually from
books,
right?
Yeah,
don't, obviously you can't have that be the only thing, right? So the same way somebody wrote books and maybe thinks all Africans are monkeys,
Yeah.
that can be the only perspective.
Yeah.
But it's funny because sometimes, I'm in America now, I'm like, oh, I read those things in books, I saw those things in books, so it shouldn't be your only perspective. But I do feel like that's one of the great things about non-fiction. Fiction.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm advocating for more people to do fiction, obviously.
I agree. And actually, people that do fiction, I actually find them very interesting.
Thank you, Abimbola. This has been really, really fun. I really enjoy talking to you. And thank you for being, like you said, what did you call it?
The record-breaking
guest. I really appreciate it. Now, we can't do this without you asking me one question.
Yeah.
I feel like you've been thinking about it.
Yeah, actually, and because there's so much to ask, but...
Okay, you can ask me too, maybe.
Okay, so first, what would you tell your 16-year-old self?
Okay.
Yeah. And then second, what does purpose mean to you? What is purpose? What is life? Sorry, now I'm feeling non-fiction.
It's okay. 16-year-old self, I think I want to say I've been asked this, I can't remember exactly if it was 16 or maybe a different age. But I think for me, it's just that there was nothing to worry about. There will be nothing to worry about, right? Like, I knew God, so it's not like I didn't know God, but I think that whole, dealing with parents that are divorced and dealing with all the uncertainties. I knew I was going to America, but I didn't know how I was going to go to America. Yeah. I had just lost my aunt and niece, for lack of a better term, and it was just a really difficult time just putting all of those thoughts into then do you really exist? I mean, I know you exist and I know you love me, you've kept me this long, but and then what's going to happen to my siblings and all of that? I think I was just a worrywart, honestly. I just cared about everything and worried about everything, and I think I would have told myself now is the time to stop worrying, to stop overthinking. Do not let overthinking be a crutch in life, and go big or go home, right? Like, I feel like I said this before, I think it was somebody else actually interviewing me, and I was saying how there were a lot of things I didn't do because I thought that's the way it's been done, and without thinking about the fact that God is the one who owns the cattle on 1,000 hills, and he can make a way for you, and he can turn the hearts of kings, any way he wants. So even if that's how it's always been done for 10 people, your number 11 is going to be different. So I think there are a lot of things I did not do at a younger age because I just thought, this is the law, and this is the truth, and this is the fact. But God is the only one that knows all of that, the truth, the law, the fact, right? And so that would definitely be it. As far as
Can I scrap my second question?
Okay, what? Okay, so what's your second question?
Because you said outside it, you said purpose is waking up every day. So I can imagine, I can figure out how you think.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the second thing is, and it's off what you said, and I was actually thinking about it, what are like some things you wish you did when you were younger? Yeah. And if you want to share maybe like a mistake or something that you thought was a mistake, or I mean, what do you think about mistakes and regrets? What are your thoughts about, I wish I did this, coulda, woulda, shoulda?
No, I think one of the things I would tell people is save early. Whatever job you have, even if you're getting 50, I need to stop saying dollars, but let's say you're getting 15 naira a day, save 5 naira. That was one of my biggest mistakes, one of my biggest regrets still till today. So save that 5 naira. It goes a long way, and it's a habit that you're going to need forever. I would say even things like I was telling you just behind the scenes that I'm thinking about losing weight. I was a good athlete and a relatively good, on that discipline. Keep at whatever it is that you're doing, right? Don't think about the fact that, oh, well, you don't even really need it now. Yes, I didn't need it as much in my 20s. I need it a lot more now. So, those are things that are now harder to
imbibe.
Exactly. Exactly. Not to say it's hard and you can't start, you can always start, but it's harder to now keep pushing yourself and reminding yourself. And I think last but not least, I will say that as far as career goes, again, because I was an immigrant student at the time, I just thought there were some things I could not go for. There were scholarships I could not go for, job opportunities I could not go for. And I see some of the Gen Z guys now and I'm just like, I love you so much. They will go for anything and everything, right? Go for anything and everything. There's nothing wrong with rejection. I think one of the things I was particularly scared of was rejection.
Yeah.
It's the one psychological thing that I kind of, I've always dealt with. Not even from it's funny because when it came to relationships, I didn't really care. Yeah. But when it came to career, I really, really cared. It was my big thing. It's always been my big thing. Like even now, let me not say it's always, like it's no longer as, now I know that, say, God forbid, I let go of my job. I know I'll get another job. I know I have the skill set. But at the time, you're like, oh, you don't have this, you don't have that, you think you don't have this. And especially because education was now, like, I had to pause one semester, so you feel like you don't have that whole join thing, like everybody had that went straight. And I want you to know that anything you've learned, whether it's a course, whether it's a certificate, whether it's whatever, and especially the experiences that you have as a person outside of your academics, all of that contributes to what you bring to the society as far as career, as far as what you can start. So I think about people who at 13, 14, 15 have started businesses. And I don't necessarily mean the influencing businesses that people do nowadays. I mean real businesses, right? Real things that bring purpose and, making money. So I will say that, like, go for it. Especially if you're an immigrant listening to me, go for everything. Ask the questions. There is an opportunity that's probably available that you have not found out about because your community has not found out about. That's the problem with Nigerian community outside of the country, because they don't explore those things.
There's certain niche areas they just say, oh, this is for us, and we're taking
and they try to stay safe. Whereas you see with Indians and all the other countries that they do not do the same thing. So I will say those are my things. Yes, do I have regrets? Of course I have regrets. I think anybody who says they don't have regrets, I think you're lying. However, I think that I can look back and say that I know that all those things that I may or may not have done, God was still in the workings of it, right? He makes everything work out for my good. So the things that I did that probably was not in alignment with His will, as long as I kept on staying with Him and I didn't go far, and you're repenting and all of that, He makes it all work out for you, for your good. So it's okay to make those decisions. Be bold, make those decisions. It does not matter whether you think. I'll give you an example. I picked a job. I picked 54 Gene, as most of you know, or maybe you don't know, as the job I was going to take over a company in America that is more certain, is more stable. But 54 Gene was paying more. And I remember my pastor saying, why is this a complicated thing? One is paying more, take the, And most people would think, oh no, God is supposed to come and tell you. And I did have some people tell me that. And some people weren't even looking at it from a spiritual perspective. Now I went on to lose 54 Gene maybe a year and a half later. But I can, literally that thing on my resume takes me farther than I think the other role would have taken me. I think it's helped me in the Nigerian hemisphere a lot more than it would have, being here, as opposed to maybe if I was going to stay in America, then maybe that other job would have been. But, all of those things, right? There was no wrong or right. Or maybe it was wrong because at the end of the day, never ended up making the money. You end up losing the job. So it's not fun, right? And you have to wait a couple months before you find out. It's not fun. But I don't think that experience was a mistake. And I see God's hand through it and in every way, I have now leveraged on that opportunity.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I feel like you made me talk for like
You're such
5
an
minutes.
like I was gonna say, can I go on? Because now I feel like, hey, this is the world without people. We're super aliens. Can I go on?
No, please. This is why I keep telling people I want to talk to the people, even though I feel like everybody's like, oh, but you can do an episode on your own. No, please. I don't want to be the one answering questions. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, everybody, and join us next week, 2 weeks. I don't even know what the math is, but join us every 2 weeks on The World Without People. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me in today's episode. Just like you would share with friends about a great book you read, don't forget to share this if you enjoyed it. Connect with us on IG and Twitter at twwpcast and get details on the website at worldwithoutpeople.org. And hey, remember to make loving others the story of your life. Until next time, this is The World Without People.